in a bottle. There's people living in the bottle. Listen to me. See that sister, her show was fine. She started drinking wine in the bottle. She told me, oh man. Welcome to The Reality Check with Charles Butler here on Red State Talk Radio. Little Gil Scott Heron. That's how we start off the show. Get wound up, get ready. Get ready to hear the truth. Get ready to hear reality. Get ready to get some facts. See, what is missing from public discourse today? Facts. And people don't want facts. People want to feel good. And that's okay. I understand that. But more importantly, here at the Reality Check, we bring you reality. And today we got a man who certainly believes in reality. His name is Larry Klayman. He's an attorney. He's also heads up the, oh man, I just had a brain lock right now, but
Freedom Watch,
and you can Freedom Watch USA. You can go out to his website, freedomwatchusa.org. And Larry just wrote a book that's going to be released on the 27th. It's called "It Takes a Revolution. Forget the Scandal Industry." Welcome to the show, Larry. How are you?
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
Well, look, you have wrote a book called Whores, and I tell you, I don't know how you got that title, how you got that title out there, but hell of a title, hell of a book. I haven't had a chance to read this book, or in fact, even on your website or Amazon, there weren't any excerpts from the book. So tell us a little bit about the book and why you wrote it.
Well, yeah, that was one of the books that I wrote was Whores. Just quickly, Charles, I once sent it to Sheldon Adelson of the Venetian Empire.
Right.
Secretary asked me, what's it about? And I said, well, just tell the girls down there on Las Vegas Boulevard it's not about them. Okay. It's about political whores. It's about the media. It's about people in Congress. It's people in the executive branch, the deep state, and people about the judiciary. But I wrote a new book, and it's really bringing everything current. We're in a state of revolution right now. We know that. I want to do it peacefully and legally. The executive branch is broken down. It's even more powerful than the president himself. It tried to destroy him. We've got a legislative branch, which is a bunch of court jesters stuffing money into their pockets, acquiring power from lobbyists and other special interests. And we've got the judiciary, which is an unelected branch of despots. In fact, Thomas Jefferson predicted that we would get to this state. He predicted that we would have to wage yet another revolution because unelected judges would take over this country.
Yeah.
And they don't represent the interests of the American people. And that's what the book is about. And it gives concrete solutions how we peacefully and legally can wage a second American revolution. Well, it's different, for instance, than a book written by Sean Hannity, Live Free or Die, where he says just vote for Trump. That's not enough. The American people need to rise up. We're only going to have Trump if he wins for 4 years. And he's not going to be able to do much with a Democrat House of Representatives and possibly a Democrat Senate. So we need to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to have to. And that's a great point. I look forward to reading your book because I felt the things that you just said, I've said on my show time and time again. Even if President Trump wins in 4 years and I can't see another Donald Trump coming from the political hacks we have out there today because they don't have the independence that Trump has. They don't have the interest that Donald Trump has. Donald Trump, in my opinion, is truly out here doing the work for the American people. I just haven't seen a president since Reagan, maybe, that has focused on American people, the American people, and putting the American people first.
Well, that's right. But, he has his problems and we can all sympathize with that. But we have bigger problems. And that's the country's going socialist, communist, and radical left. And you can get my book on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, all the booksellers. You can pre-order it because it's going to be in hot demand. I'm the founder of not just Freedom Watch, but also Judicial Watch, as you may know, Charles. And I've been a lawyer for 40 years. I know how to get the job done. I hope people will buy that book and pre-order it, because it will be a hot potato once it comes out on October 22nd. You can pre-order it now at Amazon.com.
You know, Larry, I met with Tom Fenton years ago, about maybe 10, 12 years ago, at your office. You had these great office buildings in a brand new building. And Jill was is it Jill? I think it's Jill Farrell was your secretary at that time.
Yeah, when I was at Judicial Watch, right now I run Freedom Watch, freedomwatchusa.org. I hired her husband, Christopher Farrell.
Farrell.
I hired him as our investigator.
I used to interview Chris a lot. But I met Tom, and you know, so it's great to see these guys on television, and they do great work, and you do too. But you know, that's the our connection was Judicial Watch, and I tell you, the things that Judicial Watch is doing, if more people did or paid attention to these folks are uncovering and making issues that the government should be invested. Like, why did Hillary Clinton get rid of 35,000 emails after they were subpoenaed? Why were they allowed to destroy phones and computers and things? I mean, the stuff that they did, people need to go to jail. No one goes to jail anymore.
Well, they do. They do, Charles. And this is the point, is that I left behind when I left to run for the U.S. Senate in Florida.
Right.
I didn't win, and I started Freedom Watch, rather. They created a character after me on West Wing, Harry Claypool of Freedom Watch. So I took that name. And since then, I've been doing what I used to do at Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch does a very good job getting documents, but I'm a trial lawyer. And Judicial Watch doesn't really have...
They don't have trial lawyers? Is that what you're going to say? I know you get
What I'm saying is that I'm a trial lawyer, so I actually bring hard-hitting cases, and I commend what they do with the documents, but there's a difference. I hope people will go to freedomwatchusa.org. Unfortunately, I'm going into an airplane. I'd like to come back and see you and be on your show again, Charles, but thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that. You can get my book at Amazon.com. It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, and all major booksellers online. You can pre-order it right now.
Well,
and I apologize for having a limited amount of time.
That's okay. I'm going to finish reading what you wrote in the Amazon write-up to our audience, and hopefully we'll get you back next week when you slow down a little bit.
Thank you very much, Charles. God bless you.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, Larry Klayman, folks. Larry Klayman, the character Larry Claypool on West Wing is based on him. You know, this guy is serious, man, real serious. You know, and I told you, I used to when I was back with WVON and some others, I was really out there uncovering and trying to dissect and get people interested in taking control of the government, taking control of making these people stand up and do what we elected them to do. So when I get Larry back, one of the things we're going to talk about, and I talk about this all the time, and this is an example that I use, just one example of the many that our judiciary, where our judiciary has taken control of the country. We make laws, and then the Supreme Court changes the laws. Who does John Roberts thinks he is? It has been documented in history, not Charles Butler's history, in history, accepted history by academicians. The primary cause of the fall of the Egyptian Empire and the Roman Empire was homosexuality. So why are we so intent on letting the LGBT community become mainstream and take over? I don't understand this. It's not like these people haven't been amongst us since the beginning of time. These people. Oh man, that vernacular, you people, these people, those were terms that used to be thrown around about black folks, right? Using that vernacular because it's applicable. Okay. So look, let me finish up with Claypool, and then we're going to get into a couple of topics about Black Lives Matter. I can't stand Black Lives Matter, but we'll deal with that in a couple of minutes here. So, Larry wrote this book, and he talks about he's imploring. This book is called "It Takes a Revolution. Forget the scandal industry. And he mocks It Takes a Village by Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton stole, It Takes a Village is an African proverb. It takes a village to raise a family. Hillary clung on to that because, she's around these black women. And she just, it takes a village. The black people, it takes a village. The hell with a village. We're not a village anymore. Villages didn't have locks on teepees or on huts. Okay? We're a society. And in that society, you have all kinds of people. What Americans don't understand is that in the rest of the world, in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East, people have clans. These things called Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria. These are all nation states that were developed by Europeans. They have nothing to do with the people who live there. Those people belong to tribes and to clans. Much like people in Scotland, people in Ireland, they belong to clans or tribes. So, and that's still very prevalent in Africa and still very prevalent in the Middle East and in Asia, parts of Asia. So the reality is, or some folks' reality is, that we need to understand that the world does not view itself through a Western prism. There are other people out there, and they have different attitudes, and they have different desires, different wants, different needs. And they need to be controlled sometimes. They don't have the freedoms that we have here in America. But Larry's book talks about how we need to take back our freedoms because America is unique. In spite of what Barack Obama says, we're not exceptional. We are exceptional. That's a lie. America is the only place, where a person can go from being or come from a working class, poor family to rise to be an executive of a Fortune 500 company or have their own company and become a millionaire or a billionaire in some cases. Do you think Cuban, Mark Cuban was a millionaire? His dad was a millionaire? No, he was a boy who built computers, started out building Tandy computers and turned Tandy and into AOL, and AOL was bought by Time Warner and Time Warner, and the rest is history. And this guy's a multi-millionaire, billionaire probably. Okay, owns a basketball team, all this other stuff. Paul Ballmer, just a poor boy who had a friend called Bill Gates. Now he's a billionaire. Well, that doesn't happen in England. That doesn't happen in France. It doesn't happen in Canada. It happens where? It happens here in America. We are exceptional. I don't care what Barack Hussein Obama says or Michelle Obama. This is the first time I'm proud of my country. I got a friend who's getting ready to do a movie on Michelle. Woo, that should be interesting. Lord have mercy. Jesus Christ. So anyway, but Larry, I'm going to read this little write-up that is on Amazon about this book. And you can go out there and order the book, pre-order the book. It's not coming out till the 27th. It says his book Implored. It says here that with a title that sarcastically mocks It Takes a Village by Hillary Clinton, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, details how our executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government have become thoroughly corrupt and failed the country. Thomas Jefferson predicted that. It's here, people. It is here in our face. And if we don't stand up and do the right thing, if we don't stand up for right and wrong and traditional values, we will end up the same way as Rome. Gone. A blip in history. In fact, Biden tried to finish that transition. Remember, they said that by 2020, China will be the number one superpower. And if Hillary had won, China would be the number one power. Because what? we'd still be building our economy. Donald Trump comes in and he drives China into a frenzy. He brings back jobs. He puts tariff on goods that are coming into the country. The president has the right to do that. He can implement tariffs. He can do that by law, by the Constitution. What did Ruth Bader Ginsburg say? She said that our Constitution was outdated. Our Constitution was outmoded, and it needed to be changed. It needed to be rewritten. RBG, in my opinion, was a big traitor to this country. I did not like anything that she had to say. And she may be a great person. So my animus, my anger is not about RBG as a person. It's about her policies. It's about her attitude. I think she's probably a wonderful person. I probably love having dinner with RBG. But her policies, her attitude, her attack on masculinity, her attack on motherhood, her attack on freedom of religion, her attack on freedom of speech are opposite of what our Constitution states and what her sworn oath was, to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, not to change the Constitution, but to uphold the law. But we have 9 people up there, especially 4 right now, maybe 5 with oh boy, what's his name, Roberts, that want to dictate how we should live and what we should think and what laws work and what laws don't. All because some black people wanted to be treated like first-class citizens. That's what this is all about. All of this hubbub, all of this rancor, all of these special interest groups saying, I'm special. I need to be protected. I'm a protected class. Well, I like to have sex with both of my feet in warm water. I want to be a protected class. I mean, since we're talking about sex and how you choose to have sex should be a protected class. I'll call us aquaphytes. Aqua for water and fights for feet. Or feet. Hey, whatever. That's the way the country's going. Somebody told me the other day, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they said that pedophiles are now going to be considered a protected class in California. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know it was about the age of consent was being lowered in California. How corrupt is that? I think it's being lowered to 12 years old. That means that politicians, and I'm telling you, what is wrong with California? And I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm being racist, but they have too many corrupt people in office. They have a lot of people in office today who've never had power, who've never been in power, who've never made laws, and they are going to jail left and right. That's not Charles Butler making things up. It's what's happening. So they have changed the narrative. Change the narrative of America without our consent. We need to take it back. And that's what this book's about. I'm dying to read this book. So Clayman is imploring Americans to turn away from the scandal industry of cable news networks, which enrich themselves by magnifying crisis, if not creating mass panic to boost ratings and advertising dollars and offering false hope to lure viewers that there will be justice and remedy government corruption. The author, Larry Clayman, who you just heard from, and he was both the founder of Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch. He offers concrete solutions for creating a federal judiciary and instituting citizens' grand juries, quoting founding fathers like John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Clayman explains above all that without ethics, morality, and religion, and I talk about this all the time. You know, I quote John Adams that says, the Constitution was written only for a moral and religious people. Without that governance, it is inadequate to harness human passion. That's what's going on today. So, Clayman explains above all that without ethics, morality, and religion, it will not matter how many times we change our forms of government or rules, there will be no lasting liberty. Think about that, people. We need to get busy. I hear people say, I'm not interested in politics. Well, you're interested in the future of your children. Don't talk to me about green. Don't talk to me about green power and green energy. Talk to me about politics. Talk to me about government. That's all tied in. If our politics and politicians decide we're going to have green energy, but in order to have green energy and comply with the Paris Accord, we have to destroy major segments of our economy while the rest of the world says, well, China says, well, we'll participate in the Paris Accords in 2030. Meanwhile, Barack Obama comes on television and he says, oh, China's with us. They've signed on to the Paris Accords. And President Zhao comes on right behind him and says, yeah, we signed, but we are not going to begin to engage in the Paris Accord requirements until 2030. I didn't say it. It's out on the internet. Go look it up on the internet. There are videotapes of Zhao saying that. Or President Xi saying that. So, last but not least, the last paragraph from this write-up is, Clayman says, this work is a call to arms during these times of crisis when government corruption has hit a cancerous state. The overriding message of it takes a revolution, forget the scandal industry, is that Americans should turn off cable news, truly. Stop being entertained by it. Get up off the sofa. He says couch. I say sofa. Potato, either. And join the second American Revolution. Abbott, a peaceful and legal one, to restore the greatness of our nation in these trying and perilous times. Our continued existence hangs in the balance. This election could not be more important. If Joe Biden becomes president, you can bend over and kiss your butt goodbye. Just like an atomic bomb. I remember we used to practice duck and cover. And as kids, we used to say, duck and cover and kiss your booty goodbye. Because guess what? Ducking and cover was not going to help if an atomic bomb was dropped on Detroit, which it would have been, because Detroit was the hub and always had been the hub of the military industrial complex, building tanks and planes and whatnot. Nobody ever really talks about that. We gave up all of that. Bill Clinton needs to be tried for treason. He needed to be tried for treason when he was president. Why? I'm just going to run through several things real quick. He got campaign donations. And in return from those campaign donations from China, he gave China WTO, the Cray computer, missile guidance technology, which reduced their R&D by 25%. And he gave technology to the Chinese that the State Department had denied him. So he pulls it back from state. He pushes it over to Ron Brown at Commerce. Ron Brown is getting ready to testify before Congress the next week. He flies off to, I think, Bosnia. He's doing a commerce tour, get the big construction companies to rebuild Bosnia. What happens to Ron Brown? His plane just happens to run into a mountain. Now, I talked to a pilot who had flown Hillary Clinton into that air base the day before. And he said, if you didn't really know, the lay of the land, or you hadn't flown it before, that the water was to your right and you had to stay over there away from the mountains. Well, at the last minute, they replaced him and put a woman who'd never flown into this airport, made her pilot. Going to show off, right? She flew right into a mountain. Now, what do we think? Some of us aviators, some pilots, we think that the signal was electronically moved from the airport to the mountain. It's easy to do. Mask the signal coming from the airport, put that signal over on the mountain. We are trained as pilots, especially military pilots, to believe your instruments. Above all else, always believe the instruments. Whatever your feelings are, believe the instruments. So your mind is telling you you're in a turn, but your instruments say you're straight and level. We have this thing called, vertigo and all this other stuff. It's cool. It's good. I love it. But she flew into a mountain, killed everybody on board. And Alma Brown, who was uh, Ron Brown's wife, was told point blank, if you have an open casket funeral, because Ron Brown was rumored to have been shot in the head, we will deny you all benefits. Now, this is a woman who didn't have any money. She relied on Ron Brown. She was a housewife. She relied on her husband. They told her point blank, we're going to deny you benefits. It's not Charles Butler talking. All this stuff is out there. That's why Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch are so important, especially Freedom Watch, because they want to put people in jail where they need to be, like Hillary Clinton, like Bill Clinton, like the FBI agent who decided he was going to initiate a coup, and the liberal media parades him around like he's a hero. Hero to whom? To himself? Hero to the left? He's a traitor to the country by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. I guess that's enough of that for today. But, it just always amazes me how people refuse to deal with the facts. My chatters aren't chatting today. You're awfully quiet out there today. I guess you're just listening. But I hope I'm making sense to you. I hope my folks out there on YouTube, I hope you guys are looking, listening, and passing around the link to my website when we broadcast here live. Let's grow this audience so I can get you all in. Okay, let's see here. Where am I going? I'm going to do Black Lives Matter, but I'm going to do a big thing on Black Lives Matter in a minute. Let's see here. So I want to go out and I want to look at a couple of things that are happening with the election and how, the debate and what these people are talking about. Oh, we're going to have a mute button so that we can just mute the president when he's just cutting people off. And, oh man. Now, the White House details President Trump's unmistakable condemnation of bigotry in the wake of debate remarks. Okay. Dianne Feinstein is making a formal demand that ABC Supreme Court confirmation be delayed. Ain't gonna happen, baby. It's not going to happen. Not on Mitch's watch, because Mitch ain't no bitch. He may look a little like a Southern gentleman. I'm gonna get her nominated sooner than later. And he talks all slow. You know how these Southern guys do. And he's going to get it done. And we are definitely going to have a new Supreme Court justice before the election. And anybody who wants to bet me on that, I'm open. Okay, I'm open. And, I'll bet you a pocket copy of the Constitution because I'm sure that will happen. Okay. Wow. I'm looking out here at, I'm looking at on Fox, a letter from the White House. And what these people are saying is that, Trump is condemned bigotry. He's condemned all forms of racism and Antifa. And, people keep trying to say, well, Antifa is not a real. Hey, Antifa was at the inaugural. Antifa takes, and this is Antifa speaking, they take credit for burning police cars and knocking out windows in buildings and attacking people. They take credit for it, call themselves Antifa, and dress in black and wear, gaiters and hoodies so people can't recognize them. Anybody who has on that garb should be arrested because they've said we are terrorists. We are here to disrupt. We're here to destroy. If you disagree with us, you are an enemy. I don't go to those rallies because I know me. I'm not going to play with these people. I take them very serious because, see, I've seen people get knocked to the ground and their lives change forever. They hit their head. They break a leg, they break a shoulder, they get teeth knocked out. Things happen. And these things are major issues for people that they happen to. Just think if you got your two front teeth knocked out and had to be replaced. People, oh, it's just, you're just replacing your two. Hey, they're not yours. So you feel that, if you have to have implants done, I mean, it's not a pleasant thing, but you can't really tell people that have never experienced it. Oh, it's no big thing. It's just, it's like when you talk to liberals, homosexuals, it's just sex. But those same people who embrace homosexuals and homosexuality hate black people. They'll hire a gay, but they won't hire a black. Why is that? Think about it for a minute. They'll hire a gay person. They'll hire a homosexual, but they won't hire a black man. And these people call themselves a minority. Oh, I'm just a minority. No, you're white and you're a guy who chose to only if they are killed by policemen. Let's see here. He condemned it with Chris Wallace 2016. They must have forgot. Okay, gotcha. You're absolutely right. So look, we're going to go back here. We're going to play. I'm going to play Biden and his confrontation on how Biden calls on the president to condemn Antifa, and they never asked Biden to condemn Antifa. They never asked Biden if he would not. What else did they ask Trump? They didn't ask Biden. They asked him all these racial questions to try to stop the black support of Trump. Trump has always supported black people, always, and he's not made an issue of it. I love the guy. I'm sorry, love the guy. That's not going to change. And people say, well, what if he killed somebody on Fifth Avenue? He probably had a good reason. That's what I would say. Anyway, look, let's play this real quick. Let's do it. Here we go. If we can, come on. Okay. I got something going on here with the computer. I don't know what it is. But see, I think these folks mess with my computer every now and then, especially when I come on. And I'm talking about issues that they really don't want you to know about. Let's play it. Let's play Trump. Here we go. Come on. We're not going to listen to that. We're going to get busy here. We're going to get busy here and want you to hear this real quick. That Biden calls Trump out, but he didn't answer the question himself. Like we're supposed to just believe that he doesn't support Antifa. Okay. Joe Biden's a trip, man. I think he's an ardent racist. He's like most liberals. He thinks he's better than black folks. And, we need to be beholden and taken care of.
Joe Biden refers to Antifa as an idea or an ideal rather than an actual organization.
Antifa is a real problem because the problem is on the left. And Biden refuses to talk about it. He refuses to issue the words law and order. He's got to condemn Antifa. Antifa is a very bad group.
Our next guest has firsthand experience with Antifa and says they're much more than just an idea. Here to explain, host of the Dave Rubin Show, Dave Rubin. Now, Joe Biden wasn't inaccurate. Believe it or not, Christopher Wray said Antifa is more of an ideology. He said that. And the president immediately tweeted back, I don't think so. They got radios, bats, and bricks. They have an organization. What have you found out, Dave?
Yeah, well, an idea doesn't burn down buildings. An idea doesn't throw Molotov cocktails at people. An idea doesn't assault people on the street. People do that. If what Joe Biden is trying to say is that they don't have laminated business cards ready to hand out when they're doing these things, then I suppose he's correct. But I've done many public speaking events, usually about free speech and free markets and capitalism, some, good stuff, no bigotry, no racism or hatred involved. And Antifa has shown up and violently protested and pulled fire alarms. There's a video that I put on Twitter a couple of times that's been seen by millions of people where an elderly woman in a walker, she's about 80 years old, is trying to cross the street, come to my event, and they're screaming at her, calling her a Nazi. It turns out, of course, that her husband actually fought the Nazis in World War II. These are bad people, and by design, they're decentralized. So when Biden is saying they're an idea, it's because he's afraid that so much of his base, his radical base, is actually in line with Antifa. And if he says something about them, they will end up coming for him.
Yep, I've heard that as well.
The president said that.
Dave, you're out.
Well, that's true. That's true. And see, so folks don't get it. I mean, I get it. I get it all the time. We have to be vigilant. We have to get busy. We have to understand that these people are not good Americans, and they certainly don't have our interest at heart. Kind of like my next topic, which is Black Lives Matter. One of my favorite people, Thomas Sowell, made some comments about Black Lives Matter. And he was so on point about it that I took the time to record a couple of the observations that he made. And these observations are great. You're absolutely right. Let's see. The president did do that. Absolutely. So I'm just chatting back with some of my friends out here on the chat room. Absolutely right. And we spend a little time out here. You guys should join in. Go to YouTube, The Reality Check, Charles Butler. You'll find it out there. We'll be out there, and what we do, we try to get it done. Try to get it done for you. Try to bring you information, because that's all this is about. This is about information. It's about knowing what's going on. You have to know what's going on in order to participate. And Thomas Sowell talks about Black Lives Matter, and he really brings it home. And I couldn't say it any better. So I'm going to play a little clip from him. Here we go.
As pessimistic. I was never pessimistic enough to think that things would degenerate to the point where they are now.
Oops. What did that mean? So Thomas Sowell has been around since the 60s, and he's always been, in my opinion, very common sense, very pragmatic, very factual. And that's why I've always admired him. And that's why I always tried to pattern myself as intellectually a Thomas Sowell, but also to stay factual, regardless of what the popular belief is, what the popular trend is, what's in pop culture. I've never gone along with that. I remember, just a quick aside, I remember in the Black society, and you guys probably remember this in the Black community, in the 60s and 70s, when Black people were wearing these platform shoes, these Black men and women, these and some white people, but primarily Black folks, and the platforms were about this high or this high. I mean, they were serious, and guys were walking around in shoes like this. We walk around high heels. So who wore high heels? Women, right? So I went out, and I wanted to be fashionable. I was in college. I wanted to be fashionable. This is my junior year, and I had a little money. So I went out and bought some platforms. They were about this thick, and the heel was about maybe this high. So one night I was coming home from a party, and I had to walk down a flight of steps, short flight, maybe 8 steps. And I tripped and fell down 5 steps. Boom, 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 tore my pants, hurt myself a little bit. I walked into my room, took off the shoes. I walked into my room. And I looked at those shoes and I said, why am I wearing high heels? Because I want to be cool, because I want to be fashionable. I took those shoes, put on my tennis shoes, walked out to the trash can and threw them away. From that point on, I decided that I was going to dress like I wanted to dress. Conservative, dress shirt, nice suit, not all the flashy stuff that was going on in the Black community with the orange suits and the pinks, and the crazy cuts. No. I had very stylish wear, but it was conservative. It was business dress. It was what people wore when they went to work for General Motors. So Long story short, that's what Thomas Sowell talks about. That's what he's talking about now. So Sowell, this is Black Lives Matter. These women, and I want you to hear this real quick because it's important that you hear them from their own mouth tell you what Black Lives Matter is supposed to be.
Would degenerate to the point where.
Here we go.
Black Lives Matter is a tool to reimagine a world where Black people are free to exist, free to live.
What is your opinion of Black Lives Matter?
I think they're one of a long list of groups that are self-serving, and I think they can do an enormous amount of damage just by the fact that they're promoting this belligerent attitude toward the police, which in turn tends to create all kinds of bad episodes. All of this furor has been created over an incident in which I don't see any serious disagreement, namely that the policeman had no business sitting on this man's neck.
Mm-hmm.
And the most conservative people I know have said, no, he had no business doing that. The liberals say it. I don't know what the argument is about.
Exactly. What's the argument about? Everyone agrees that the cop was wrong. So what? So why the? You know, it's crazy. It's just crazy. The cop got fired. His wife left him the next day. And, you know, I mean, the guy is paying a price and he's going to pay a price. He'll probably end up in prison for killing this man. Finally, police are being held accountable. But then you have Black Lives Matter that come along and they're taking people out. They're, making people angry. They're destroying businesses. And the businesses that they're destroying are people who have put their life savings in these businesses in a lot of cases. They've mortgaged their homes. They have, SBA loans. They depend on traffic. They depend on foot traffic. And people can't come out of their homes because why? They're on lockdown. They're on martial law. They're on curfew. These people have no idea what they're doing nor why they're doing it. And I always say to folks, and I learned this from my political mentor, Art Fletcher, you need to understand what people are really about and these organizations are really about, not just the name. Black Lives Matter, you go, oh my God, Black Lives do. If Black Lives mattered so much to Black Lives Matter, the organization, how come they're not demanding that all the killing stops on the south and west side of Chicago? Every month, 60 or 7 people are killed here in Chicago that, just outright killed. We don't count the people who die who were wounded. I don't see those statistics. Oh, well, as a result of being wounded in a drive-by shooting, so-and-so died. We're just going to put that over in this. No, I don't see those kind of numbers coming out. I don't see that accountability. But more importantly, the alderman, the mayor, the county president, the governor, the attorney general of the state should be held accountable for the war zones that exist in Danny Davis's district, in Lopez's district, in Danny Davis's district, Bobby Rush's district. These are congressional districts. We're not going to talk about the wars. There are too many of them. They should be held accountable. What is Danny Davis's response to black crime and black criminals? Oh, well, we'll just give them jobs we're going to just take them to the front of the line and put them before hardworking, law-abiding black men, because these black men have been ostracized by the system and they need an opportunity. Well, what about the black guy who's done everything right, can't get a job? What about the black guy who's trying to feed his family, just trying to do the right thing? We ignore those folks. We've always ignored those people. I think the civil rights movement did a lot of damage to the black community. And the interesting thing is, so does Thomas Sowell. So I'm going to segue. Let me play this this clip real quick. That what Thomas Sowell says, and it's something that I say all the time.
Most
Listen.
of this progress was prior to the massive expansion of the American welfare state.
As of 1940, 87% of Black households were in poverty. Over the next 20 years, that declined to 47%. This is all prior to the civil rights laws, prior to the social welfare policies of the Johnson administration. Over the next 20 years, it fell an additional 18 points. But that was just the same trend continuing at a reduced rate. Affirmative action is even worse. Poverty rate was something like 30% among Black households before affirmative action. And a decade after affirmative action, it was 29%. This is not the same as the 40% decline that occurred before there were any civil rights laws and before there was any social welfare state.
Wow, that's heavy. Now, where else are you going to hear that except from a Thomas Sowell or Charles Butler? You haven't seen that on mainstream TV. Why don't they interview Thomas Sowell on Fox News? Why don't they interview Thomas Sowell on MSNBC? Why don't they interview Thomas Sowell on CNN or 60 Minutes? Because he tells the truth, and it's not a truth that they want to hear. See, they already have their narrative made out, and that is that Blacks are victims, and that Blacks need help, and that Blacks need to be told and trained what to do. That's why you have Antifa. They're like, we're going to go out and fight for the Black people. We're going to fight for the Black man, and we're just going to burn the neighborhoods down and just get rid of the police, and we're going to stick it to the man. And then they get in their cars and they get on the trains and they go home to the little pristine white picket fences and places where people aren't playing boom boxes and have their music up loud and shooting in homes and things like that. So the question becomes, how do we turn this around? I don't know. But I will say this: skills. People need skills, and we have generated wealth. And when I talk about wealth, it's wealth that comes from hard work. It's wealth that comes from having an opportunity. Let me play Sowell again. Here we go.
If you look at the average credit score of people of different ethnic backgrounds, you'll discover that the order in which they rank by credit score is also the order in which they rank by acceptance for the highest quality mortgages. That is, whites, for example, are turned down far more than Asian Americans.
So when you combine all of those things, I think it's safe to say that Black Americans have a conversation that they need to be having with the United States. Doesn't involve me, doesn't involve white people, it's like, yo, American government, meet the Black people.
You see, you can't have a welfare state in a democratic country unless you first have a welfare state vision. The vision of grievances, victimology, and resentments. The idea that the world owes you something.
I've been able to find a single country in the world where the policies that are being advocated for Blacks in the United States have lifted any people out of poverty. I've seen many examples around the world of people who began in poverty and ended in affluence. Not one of them has followed any pattern at all like what is being advocated for Blacks in the United States.
That's exactly right. I've said the same thing. I thought the same thing as a kid. I thought the same thing as a college student, I should say, not a kid. I was a college student. I thought the same thing. That this is not working for Black folks. This is back in the 70s. I didn't just come to these conclusions. I didn't just come to where I am today. I came here to these conclusions that affirmative action and civil rights impeded Black progress because white people were rebelling. They were angry. And they thought that Black people who showed up were not qualified. And you know who supported that notion? The NAACP. The NAACP was a big killer of affirmative action. They did not support affirmative action. They did not say, okay, this is about an affirmative opportunity. This is about giving people an opportunity. No, and nobody came out and advocated that. They only advocated that you have to hire these Black people because you need to hire these Black people. When the reality was, we were not being given jobs or allowed to have jobs as white collar workers in GM. They take a white boy out of high school and say, you're going to be an accountant. You're good in math. We're going to give you an accounting job. You're going to wear. So the people wear a white shirt and a little tie to work. You know, I'd see these guys all the time. They didn't wear suits. You know, they just wore a white shirt and a tie. Those were the exempt people. Same way in the defense industry, the admin types. Okay. But when we talk about grievances and having a system or grievance society, you have Booker T. Washington who said this years ago, 1915. He said, there is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into a settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like Jesse Jackson? Does that sound like Al Sharpton? Does that sound like these community activists who form 501c3s so that they can get grants from the city and the state and the feds? I'm going to form a 501c3 nonprofit organization so that I can get the America's about profit. America's about growth. America's about capitalism. So form an S Corp or form a corporation or form a LLC. Don't tell me about forming a damn nonprofit and LLC, 501c3. I'm going to do that. And that's what people have done, and they've made a good living at it. Oh boy, we're coming towards the end of the show, unfortunately. But I want to sneak one other thing in here by Mr. Soul and see what you think. Because at the end of the day, I think the guy is onto something. And people need to pay attention, especially Black people. Here we go.
Have discriminated against other people wherever they've had the power to do it, almost everywhere in the world and almost every period of history. Some groups are kept back by this, and some groups, it seems to make no difference whatever. Insofar, for example, as you have entrepreneurial skills, the fact that people didn't hire Jews in the 19th century didn't stop Jews from hiring each other and setting up and dominating industries such as the garment industry or the beginning of the great Hollywood movie studios and other areas of the economy. It is the skills that are crucial and not the fact that other people are willing or unwilling to hire you. Even groups that have a great animosity towards other groups will nevertheless hire members of those groups with skills in the long run if there are enough of them to make it worth their while.
What's the lesson in that statement for Black Americans?
Skills are what matters. If other people will not acknowledge your skills in the short run, then those same skills are useful in the Black community with other Blacks. It's what has made other groups advance from poverty to affluence. I know of nothing else that's really done it.
Wow. That's amazing. Hey, have a good one. We timed that just perfect where we're off Red State Talk Radio. But I'm going to end up finishing up here at the YouTube. And, we stay a little longer. But I'm going to have to run today. And with that, I'm going to say that we're going to play a little Compared to What? Get out of here. Compared to what? Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Freedom Friday. Doing what we do right here at The Reality Check with Charles Butler. Ba-na-na-na-na.
He's got his war. Folks don't know just what it's for. Nobody gives us a rhyme or reason. Have one doubt, they call it treason. Which you can